Good Friday evening, everybody. Main Street Fire Rescue is in service, and this transmission has officially begun. It's a jungle out there. Yes, yes it is. I am at Disney's Animal Kingdom tonight. It is it is the year 2023, the 24th of March. It is a Friday night. It is around 7:30-ish, and I am here at Disney's Animal Kingdom. One, take a little break. We had a busy day at work today, and two, I figured what a perfect time to come into the park and let's do an in-depth feature on a ride here. And I kept thinking, well, which one should we do? And I got it. Expedition Everest. That ride is probably one of the more famous roller coasters ever to be built anywhere. It has a lot of mystery surrounding it, has a lot of stories surrounding it. The detailing of that ride is unbelievable. In fact, fun fact, that was the last ride built on Walt Disney World property that did not have anything to do with intellectual property. That was straight up the sheer talent of Joe Rohde and the team of Imagineers. They literally went over, to the actual Mount Everest to get the idea of what they were really designing. They took pictures, they brought back artifacts, they went through all the towns leading up to Everest. Like, if anybody's ever seen or done the Everest Base Camp trek, where you go through Namche Bazaar and what's the other one? There's a couple more of them, but Namche is the one that really stands out. You see that one a lot. But as you go through those towns, you see all of the climbing equipment, the tea shops, the hotels where you stay, when you do your acclimatization or you acclimatize as you're going higher. So they've taken all of that and they've encompassed it into an area called Expedition Everest. And it is not just an attraction, it's an entire themed area. So if you have never been here, you're in for a treat. If you have been here, I'm going to show you some things that you probably missed. So with that, let us make our way to Everest. Should take about 10 minutes or so. Fastest trip to Everest ever. So everything kind of starts here with the theming heading towards Everest. This is one of the Joffrey stands. This is the Royal Anandapur Tea Company. Your mission with Expedition Everest is you're taking on an expedition to get tea up to Everest. Like you're a tea train. That's the whole principle behind the ride, and you're trying to get through an area called the Forbidden Mountain, which is on the way to Everest. So interesting story on this. The mountain you see is not actually Everest is featured, but it's not the one that you think it is. So as we work our way on the pathway right here, you're gonna see Everest and the Forbidden Mountain come into view right here. And this is a stunning sight. Whether it's the first time or the 100th time you've seen this, it never gets old. And so basically the giant peak right there, the very tall one, that's the Forbidden Mountain. The one next to it, out that way, that's actually Everest. That's where you're headed to. You're not, everybody mistakes this first one for Everest, and that's not actually it. It's the one behind it, right over there. But this is the one thing where they use something called forced perspective, which gives you the illusion of something being much taller than it is. Again, these mountains are less than 200 feet tall. If they were over that, there would be a big blinking red light on top, which would absolutely ruin the illusion. So they've used something called forced perspective, which the higher it goes, the shorter things get, to get the illusion of them being way up in the air. The other thing I like to point out is this temple shrine and the mountain behind it. If you watch, see how it's lined up, and you walk towards it ever so slowly, it literally matches up with the mountain 100% perfectly. Very neat feature. So next time you're here and you see this, walk towards it slowly and watch it line up to everything perfectly on the mountain. So starting in this area, this would be the equivalent of starting on the real Everest base camp trek. So you can see you've got Lukla where you land, and then Monjo, Tingbuchi, Farishe Ors, Dingbuche, and there's Fad King, Namche Bazaar, Fortsi, Labouche, Gorak Shep, Kala Prather Summit, and Everest Base Camp. Then once you go to base camp, then you work your way back down, all the way back down into Lukla, fly back to Kathmandu, and on your way home. That's the whole trek. So to theme it like this, we're going to assume that we're in the airport area and we need to get to Mount Everest. So this is themed out as kind of the walking trail, although greatly shortened, to Everest. You can see, like right here, we have the Yeti Palace Hotel opening next season. This would be very reminiscent of the little tea houses in the hotels that the travelers stay in as they're working their way to Everest. And also, if you've ever watched any videos from that area, this is all 100% spot on the way it's done. And then this would be like your gear shop. This is be called Gupta's Gear. This is all your rentals that you would need for your trek up the mountain. You got backpacks and ropes and chairs. There's your ice spikes if you're crossing the ice fall. And then this is kind of neat too. The Yeti warnings start right here. Mountain meds, especially if you're prone to altitude problems. In for an advertisement for an inn. And if you look carefully, some of this stuff, you might see names in here, which then would represent different Imagineers that helped create this. You got all your cooking supplies for when you're eating out on the base camp trek or the mountain trek. As we get into this area here, you can see the Forbidden Mountain in the direct background right here. You start, all the prayer flags start here, and they are war-torn and weathered just like they would be if you were out there in Nepal heading to Everest. Even this building here, you can see the advertisements, Royal Anandapur Tea Company, which is the Joffrey shop way back there. Please don't try to sleep here. This is what I love about Animal Kingdom, is these fine details. This is actually part of the theming. It looks like candles have been burned here. This is the old, I sigh because I missed this show. This is the old Rivers of Light Fast Pass location. You'd come in here and this is where Rivers of Light was featured twice a night. You can see the old tap styles are still here. Hoping at some point that they bring back this show. I know we're getting off on a little tangent here, but I need to show you all this. They specifically built this grand amphitheater for Rivers of Light. This was a long project, and it kind of pains me to see all this sitting here just not used at all. Just a place for people to sit. I don't know. They need to do something. Animal Kingdom needs a nighttime show so badly. And why they ever... I mean, Rivers of Light was very expensive, but it was a very, very visually impressive show. I'm very glad I got to see it when it was here. This brings us to the entrance of the ride. You can see all the Yeti signs. That'd be a cool flag to have for home. The lanterns, the gas lanterns, and the Yeti stickers. So the wait time's not bad right now. It says 20 minutes. But as you walk through, so the idea, the part of the theming is you're gonna join the tour group called Himalayan Escapes. And this is where you join up to be part of a tour group that's got to get tea over to Mount Everest. Taking a giant shipment of tea. And On top of that, you gotta watch out for the keeper of the Forbidden Mountain, the Big Bad Yeti. This is another hack, just like with Test Track, and that both lines get jammed up, and you want to ride, you don't feel like waiting. As I said, watch this. Right here, single rider entrance is open. Thank you. The only thing about single rider is you will be split up, but there is a high chance that you do get to ride somewhat close together. Your chances of riding side by side with Test Track is a lot better than it is. Got lost there for a minute. Your chances of riding together on Test Track is a little bit higher than it is on this one, but this still moves really quickly. And right there where the white line is, that's our merge point to where we get on the ride. The other thing you can note in the queue is the different shrines, the prayer flags, just even the design of these buildings. I mean, all the way down to even the woodwork here. The natural weather, the weathering. I mean, this is legit. Walk in to get my assignment, took 1 minute. Exactly 1 minute. This ride is so freaking beautiful. And, oh, you can go right at sunset too. Uh-oh. Oh God, that's terrifying. This is not good. Oh boy. Damn, we're going back Off we go. Oh, here we go. Oh, that's so good. Oh, here we go. Ah! What's the matter with you? Why are you so angry? Yes, just get this guy a cup of coffee. Everybody's so loud. It's so loud. Uh-oh. Oh, track's got to do its switcheroo thingy. Here we go. Disco Yeti! And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Expedition Everest. One of the greatest freaking roller coasters on Disney property.
I thought that's why you were shut down. They were fixing that.
They can't fix it. Like, they'd have to tear apart like the whole mountain.
Really?
And then after you get off, you got the shop here with some of the I love the Expedition Everest shirts. I really want this one, but it's a ladies half shirt, so that doesn't fit me. But I love that shirt. I guess I could probably do this one, but I really like that one. I have to point this out too. This mug is awesome. It's got Big Thunder Mountain. Jesus, Matt, get something to eat, will you? Expedition Everest, Space Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain, Sigh, Splash Mountain. This might be worth something one of these days. And once you exit out of Everest, you have this incredible viewing area right down here where you can see them come out of the mountain here. When you're riding this thing, you don't realize like how steep of a track that is and how heavily banked that is. So from what I can understand is the Yeti, your mission goes bad because then you're basically on the run from the Yeti. You hit the part where everything's going great till you hit the part where the track's all tore up, and then it becomes a race for survival because you're trying to outrun the Yeti who's after you. So this coaster also has two different ways to experience it. If you're in front, right, you're going to be a little bit slower on the coming down the hills and around the corner because the ass end of the train has to catch up. But if you're in the front, when you switch over and go backwards, then you feel the G's of going backwards because now you're the last car. So depending on what your thrill level is like, if you like just straight up speed and don't care about going fast running backwards, then sit in the very back. That is by far the most intense. But then if you like going backwards really fast and feeling G-forces, sit up front. That's the best way I could describe this. Oh, and ride at night. Once the sun goes down, this thing picks up another 4 or 5 miles an hour easily. So one of the neat facts about Everest is, I believe to current date, this was still one of the most expensive roller coasters ever built, not only for the Walt Disney World Resort, but anywhere in the world, all because of what was needed. So the mountain and the track are completely separate from each other. They're not attached. So what they did, if you look through construction photos, they built the track system, and then from there they put the mountain around it. That way nothing touches each other. Everything is independent, because if it was all linked up, basically the vibrations and the shifting from the roller coaster track would just shatter the mountain apart. Which leads me to the next topic, which is the Yeti. The Yeti is basically frozen in place like this at the very end with the disco light, hence the name Disco Yeti. When the attraction first opened, when you come down that last hill there inside the mountain, the Yeti would reach out and down, and it really gave the illusion that he was going to grab the coaster train. I never got to experience that. From what I hear and some of the old videos I've seen, it was pretty legit. Well, what happened is an animatronic of that size moving like that every probably 20 or 30 seconds was basically starting to destroy the integrity of the structure. Because what it was is he's basically like anchored, he's grabbing onto a main pole, and what they did was they tied him in with the foundation when he should have probably been put on his own independent structure and foundation. But I don't think the engineers, really thought that through as much as they should have. But again, things are new. This is what happens when you do new things like that. You learn. But so the Yeti's holding on to the structure like this, and as he's holding on with this hand, the other hand's reaching down. So he's constantly, you know, moving and bending while this hand is holding the main support. And over and over and over that, it was starting to cause a ton of downtime because it was damaging the structure of the overall mountain. The area where he was, the concrete was starting to crack and break apart. So like, we got to fix this. And they really didn't have a solution, so what they did is they froze him in place. Well, that really wasn't the greatest of ideas because it kind of, I don't know, made it boring. So then to add some effect, they put a strobe light on him, so it kind of looks like he's moving because you're going downhill as he's reaching down. And with the strobe light effect, it does kind of look a little bit like he's got some motion, but he's still stationary. Actually, the gentleman riding next to me was asking about it, and I were just chatting. I said, you know, I think it would be nice if he would move again, but due to the sheer magnitude of that project, I doubt it, because they would literally have to tear that last segment of Everest out completely in order to fix him. And that would be some significant downtime, probably at least a year or longer, because of just the sheer amount of construction involved. So a little bit of history on Expedition Everest. Again, riding this ride at night is a whole different experience, because in Florida it is normally warm during the day and it does get cooler at night. All that track and the wheels and everything cools way off, which then causes the coaster to pick up speed. And that goes for any ride at nighttime. Like, any major coaster will get faster at night. Even the little ones do. So if you're here and you're here at nighttime, give Expedition Everest a ride, because I promise you won't be disappointed. And the same goes for like Big Thunder Mountain. Tron rides totally different at nighttime because the outside segment of the track is also affected by the temperature. So yes, roller coasters at night are far better, far better. It gets a little harder though in the summer to enjoy this attraction at night. One, because Animal Kingdom stays open till 8 only. And soon to be, after spring break's over, they'll close at 7, so you don't get to experience the nighttime as much, like we did before the shutdowns, when they used to stay open until 10, sometimes later. So the time you get to experience Everest at night is usually during the winter months, when the sun sets at about 5 o'clock, and then the park stays open until 7 or 8. You got about 2 hours of complete darkness, where you get to have a completely thrilling ride on Expedition Everest. So with that, we are going to head back down from the mountain. One thing I want to point out here too, they actually put in all these prayer wheels. Again, if you watch any vlogs, or you yourself decide to go on the Everest Base Camp trek, or even climb Mount Everest, you will see these all throughout the journey. So, Expedition Everest officially opened to the public on April 7th, 2006. So we're actually getting close to its anniversary date. I believe Expedition Everest just recently crossed 15 years, which is amazing. You know, that ride's been here that long already. I mean, time's flying. And also, coming up soon, next month, is Animal Kingdom's 25th anniversary. The park opened on Earth Day in 1998, so lots of 25th anniversary stuff coming up. Hopefully they do something cool and don't just throw a bunch of merch out. You know, I'm getting kind of tired of that whole, oh, I got a big anniversary, so let's just do the lazy thing and throw merch out. You know, like, do something, because the 25th is a big deal. So yeah, Everest was a great addition. Then after that came Kali River Rapids, and then on and on and on. And then later on, eventually, my first year as a pass holder, which was 2016, they just were finishing up Pandora. Man, there are some people walking around here that are probably going to need a burn center. My gosh. Like, take a break from the sun, people. Like, you cannot apply a load of sunscreen and come down here from the north and spend 12 hours outdoors at a time in Florida and not get burned. You guys, you got to take it easy. Serious, these people, I mean, they're redder than this umbrella right here. It's nuts. There was one person that was borderline purple. They were so sunburned. And like, yeah, that's gotta be miserable. So, be smart. Interesting. So this is the entrance to Kali River Rapids. This, realistically, this could be considered as a expansion with Expedition Everest, being as how they're very similar in details. Because on this one, you're same thing. You're going on a what is it? It's like oh gosh, you're basically going on an expedition, like a river rafting expedition. And I'll have to get more of the backstory, but it ties in with Everest pretty well. And there is also a point of view from this ride where you come around this corner and Everest comes into view, and it literally looks legit, like it looks real. This probably is one of my all-time favorite ride queues because of its detail. It's simply stunning. I mean, once you get back there to that building over here, inside there is incredible. I wish I could go back there and show you guys, but the ride's down. And this has been kind of something that's been plaguing Walt Disney World lately, is these ride shutdowns. And I think what's happening is it's a staffing issue. So we're right here, 9 to 6. Park doesn't close till 8. But I know they're having trouble with staff. Having a hard time hiring people, yada yada yada. And so that's why I think this is, because I mean, we would definitely ride this. We still got another hour to go, or not an hour, I'm sorry, I got about a half an hour to go. So yeah, kind of stinks. This is another one that's fun to ride at night or when it gets dark. For anybody that wants to know what things are like right after the park's open, after the long closure, this is exactly what it was like, just like this. This went on for a couple months. I can remember that July of 2020. It was so wild being here with it. I mean, just like this every day. I mean, Avatar had a wait time of like 5 or 10 minutes. The Flight of Passage ride. Navi River Journey was never longer than 5 or 10. But yeah, it's very much reminiscent of how it was during that time period. And then after a couple months, things started picking up and it got busier. But there was about a month where if you were in the area, you pretty much had your run of the parks. I remember we were here that first weekend and we came to, because you could only do one park at a time. You couldn't park hop. So we were here and it was around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I remember Paige and I looked at each other, we're like, we're done. Like, that mask just sucked to your face. All the sweat pouring down. And like, that just can't be healthy. It just can't. So definitely don't miss that. Glad those days are gone. The parks not being busy was incredible, but the other half of it kind of sucked. So it's not really funny, but I hear it. You stand by the exit of this ride enough, and you hear people coming off, and all they say is, well, that's 2 hours of my life I'll never get back. Never trust the longest line. Y'all, if you're gonna ride Navi River Journey, just know it is a very slow moving boat ride through a bioluminescent forest. That's it. There's no thrills, no hills, no drops, no nothing. Just very slow moving boat ride. And it's about 3 to 4 minute ride tops. So if you value your time, wait till it gets down to a very low wait time and then ride it. Don't go waiting 2 hours for this ride, because I promise when you come off of it, you'll be like all those other people. Look at all of the Lionel Disney train sets. Man, I'm telling you, when these suckers wind up in the Character Warehouse outlet, I'm grabbing one of these along with the train cars as well. Because once completed with this plus the additional train cars, you're talking about a set that's going to be a lot of money. A whole lot of money. This set's about 500 bucks. So my guess is if it gets to the Character Warehouse outlet, it'll be about, I would say, 200. And then train cars will probably drop to about 50, which at that point, $300 for a full set, you better believe it. We'll see how close I am on that prediction. Might as well capture one of these. About one more week and all this stuff will be gone. Hard to believe it's been up almost 2 years. Man. The anniversary that never was. Have a little bit of caffeine for the walk out of the park and to the car. Also, I'm curious, like I said before, how long these 50th cups will be around after March 31st. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that little trip out to Animal Kingdom this evening. Like I said, I thought I would stop by after work. Had a little bit of time. And yeah, we did a little bit of a in-depth look of Expedition Everest. I had a great time doing that. I hope you all enjoy these, because if you do, let me know. I want to keep pushing some of these out. I'm not pushing. I'm going to keep putting some more of these out there, because if you look, there's park vlogs, there's all kinds of stuff everywhere, but stuff based on the individual attractions, you don't see it a whole lot. So it's something I'm going to keep doing. You know, sprinkle it in here and there. And I'm going to head home. We'll wrap this up at home. I'll see y'all soon. And my little buddies, my helpers, production crew. We have made it back home. I hope you all enjoyed the Expedition Everest vlog. As I said, walking out of the parking lot, these are things I want to do more of. And as I said before, I've noticed a thing with vlogs, and everybody does a lot of all-encompassing, and there is a few people that do, you know, the here and there, you know, of certain things, certain features, but it's usually when something new comes out. And that's excuse me, that's another vlog I've got for a time. Like, we're gonna do somewhere, actually I put it on this desk, and I'm gonna create like a backdrop or something so I can do some sit down and talking to the camera vlogs, because I feel like there's so much to talk about, you know. Also, I see that a lot, and there's a lot that I would love to just have a couple of vlogs where you just sit down and chat with a camera, you know. So since we can't do live streaming or anything just yet, you know, do where you can sit down and interact with a bunch of people live, you know, and this is the next best thing. The biggest thing I've learned with trying to grow a channel is you have to figure out where everybody isn't. And right now with theme park vlogging in general, especially in Orlando, with Disney, Universal, SeaWorld and all that, and all the other places, you really have to like sit down and think about how to be creative, because I'm telling you, y'all want to do a cool experiment, go onto YouTube and type in Walt Disney World live stream, Walt Disney World rides, or Walt Disney World vlog, and see what happens. Type in Walt Disney World vlog or Walt Disney World live stream and watch what happens. Hundreds of channels pop up. And realistically, if you look, it's a lot of the same stuff. Right now, Flower Garden, Tron, that's about it. You know, the big one now is Tron. You know, so I figured I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna be a little different. We're gonna do things differently. And then also I want to say congratulations to San Diego State Aztecs. They were the very first, or they've made the Elite Eight for the first time in school history, and they took down #1 seed and overall #1 seed, the Alabama Crimson Tide. So anybody that does that is okay in my book. And right now Miami is completely crushing Houston. It was 50, what was it? It was like 73-58 the last I looked in on it. So if that stays true with another 5 minutes left in the game, that's it. The #1 seeds are all gone. We all know what happened last week. We don't need to really talk about that much. They were the first out, and then now all the rest of them are going to be gone. So be interesting tournament. This is why I love March Madness, because you're going to have a bunch of lower seeds, I should say higher seeds, all competing for the Elite Eight and the Final Four, which is what this tournament is about. I hope you all enjoyed the Expedition Everest vlog. I had a lot of fun making that. It is so neat to walk through there and point all this stuff out, because realistically, most people that are there on vacation, they walk past all that stuff and don't even give it a look. I encourage you, if you're here for a decent time, which most people come to Disney World for roughly a week, 8, 9, 10 days, take some time at the beginning or the end of the day, preferably the end of the day because it's when it's cooler out. Take some time and walk through those areas like that and just take a look at everything. It's literally stunning, the detail that goes into that theme park. Animal Kingdom is one of the best themed theme parks I've ever seen, and I've been to a lot. Now, that bar is going to be raised a lot when Epic Universe opens up. And just leave it, I mean, just put that in there. However, for right now, the overall theming is absolutely incredible for Animal Kingdom, especially the Asia area where Expedition Everest is. Again, all that was done by the Imagineering team of Joe Rohde and all of the others going over to the actual Mount Everest and going through those towns and meeting with the local people and taking photos and bringing back artifacts and studying this stuff at insane, it took an insane length of time to put all this stuff together and then come up with the concept for the roller coaster. And again, like I said at the park, this still holds the record for the most expensive roller coaster ever built, all because of what went into it. You know, you had to build the coaster itself, then build the mountain, and then everything else around it. So when you're on that ride, it looks like, you know, especially when you first take off, when you go up the first little lift hill and then you go down kind of underneath the mountain or underneath the lift, and it looks like you're going through the foothills. You're technically riding, it looks like you're on the ground, but you're actually not. You know, you're riding on supports, but everything is filled in so well, and everything is separate that it literally looks like for that point you're actually riding on the ground. And then you come around the corner, you go up that giant lift hill, and as you're going through the mountain, and then once you go backwards, and then you get where the Yeti is, then you go back forwards again, and down the hill and all that stuff, that's on separate supports. That's on a completely separate system. And again, so it doesn't shake the mountain apart. But I highly encourage you all to watch the Imagineering story. They did one on Expedition Everest. And if you're fascinated by roller coasters and the design of them and what goes into them, I highly, highly, highly recommend watching that. You will not be disappointed. It is truly nothing short of a miracle how that ride came together. And again, it's one of the most highly themed, non-intellectual property rides I think I've ever seen. Now again, I haven't been overseas, and I know there's some parks overseas that are unbelievable now, especially Tokyo Disney Sea. But at least in the domestic parks here in the US, that is incredible. And I hope y'all enjoy this vlog. I'll see y'all very soon. The future is what you make of it. Make it a good one, all of you.